Hey, I'm Mr. Beat, and yeah, I know it's a little bare back there, but it was a transition period in my life. What can I say? But yeah, I have a special live stream right now that's happening. If you're watching right at this very moment, that means it's live. Like anything can happen. So exciting. Uh, and I've decided to be. I'm trying to get more people involved with politics locally, and I was really excited to find out that Lindsay DeFranco is entering politics, and that's my special guest I'm going to be interviewing here. Um, she's married to Philip DeFranco, so you probably know her through that. But if you don't, also she's also an influencer. She's from Georgia, running for Georgia House District 47, which it's parts of Fulton County, like north of Atlanta. And I'm just happy to have her today to hopefully not only like find out more about her campaign, but hopefully inspire you, yes, you watching right now, to maybe run for local office where you live, because we need more younger folks running for public office. Especially when I say younger folks, I don't even mean that young, man. I mean like under the age of 40. Can we do that at least? All right. So please, everyone, give a warm welcome to Lindsay DeFranco.
Hello, everybody. Clap, clap. Hello. Thank you for having me. I have to tell you, this is my first interview of the whole campaign. The first one.
I just got really nervous all of a sudden. Okay.
I know. Don't be. No, I've been prepping, It's like, it's go time now. Some people say Labor Day is go time, but I'm starting a little early.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, let's tell the audience about like your district that you're running for. It's 40. Did I get it right?
47. Just like the president. So I'm like, we're taking back the number. We're taking back 47. Okay. So I'm running for state house in District 47, which I have this map here. It's been gerrymandered all to hell. So it looks like a lobster. I like to, hold on, let me take it out of this shiny thing. My district looks like a lobster. So it is North Fulton, north of Atlanta. So we have like Roswell, Alpharetta, and Milton. Milton is where I live. So the majority of it is Milton. It's about 40 miles north of Atlanta. And it's the suburb that I grew up in. And so I did live in California for a little bit, but I wanted to raise my kids here. I wanted to raise my kids in this kind of, it's not quite rural, not quite suburban community that I really liked growing up in. Also, can you hear my dogs barking?
Barely.
Okay. My son's just now getting home from school. So the middle schoolers get home very late. It's almost 5 o'clock. So sorry about that. But yes, I'm very excited to try to run and represent my district. It is a R+14 district. However, we do not have an incumbent running this year. There was a 24-year incumbent, and she decided to retire this year, very late in the year. And I decided to step in.
Yeah. So why did you decide to enter politics? Yeah. Why would you do this?
Yeah. Why would I do this? Well, I've been involved for a long time in small ways, especially with Phil's show. I would help. We brought up the Philip DeFranco show together. So I was always on the other side of the camera. And just as things started happening after 2016, I got really interested in media literacy. And so I had this whole plan to travel across the country and help teach middle and high school students how to be responsible creators and consumers of media. And then COVID happened, and that all kind of went to the side. And then we ended up moving back home. And I went to, well, first I saw an interview with my congressman, Rich McCormick, on CNN. And in this interview, he was talking about how he doesn't think that school children deserve free lunch and that they should have to go like work at a fast food restaurant, or he was like, I picked blueberries in high school. I didn't need school lunch. So I was just very put off by that. And then the next week, so this was actually in February of 2025, so after the election. And after that, I decided to go to his town hall. And in this town hall, he was so rude to his constituents. He did not answer a single question honestly. He was so condescending. And I looked up at him and I was like, if he can do this, I can do this. I care more. I know more. Like, I need to do something. And, this was the time where the second Trump presidency was coming around. And as a mom, I felt like I really needed to do something. So that was the real catalyst for it.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty disappointing. I mean, not surprising, though.
Not surprising.
A politician do that. It tends to be a trend these days.
Yeah. And so then I talked to a mentor in my district, and she actually ran for this seat last time. She ran against the incumbent. And I was telling her, I think I'm going to run against Rich. I'm going to run for Congress. And she was like, well, what are you really interested in? Like, what do you want to impact? And I started talking about our schools, our communities, our taxes, all of that kind of stuff, really hammering home the school issue though. And she was like, you need to run for state office. Your passion is not in Congress. Your passion is here locally. So, but I didn't want to run against a 24-year incumbent. I thought that I was not qualified. I thought there was no way I was going to win. So I started running for school board. I threw my hat in the ring for school board. And so that's what I was campaigning on for several months, was joining the school board. And then, let's see, Jan Jones, the incumbent, decided to retire about 2 weeks before qualifying. So qualifying is, at least in Georgia, there's the first week of March where you go in and you file your paperwork, and it's just 5 days where anyone who wants to run goes down to the Capitol and they file their paperwork. And so it was the night before I was going to go file. And my campaign manager called me and he said, hey, we still haven't found anybody to run for Jan Jones' seat as the Democrats. You should do it. And I was like, well, who's asking you to do this? And he just said, I think this would be better for you than school board. And I was like, great, perfect. And it turns out that the person I'm running against is also a first time, I don't even like calling myself a politician, but first time running for office. And he's 24 and he works for the mayor of our town. So I thought, if I can beat anybody, I can't beat an incumbent, but I can beat this kid. So I'm feeling confident, but at the same time, I think, and as you know, as an educator, there are a lot of hurdles we have to get over to get people to understand what a state representative does and how that's completely different from Congress.
That was my next question, is like, most of my viewers are probably not from Georgia. And each state is different. There are a lot of similarities with the Georgia state legislature and Kansas state legislature. I was just kind of looking at some of the issues that come up every year, and I was like, oh, that sounds familiar. But no, like, if you could just tell the audience more about like this general structure of the Georgia state legislature, like, like when they even meet, because most people don't even know this is a part-time thing. It's not even like so maybe talk about the Georgia state legislature.
Okay, so the Georgia state legislature, so it does vary by state, but here the state legislature meets 40 days a year. So we have 40 days to make laws for the whole state. And right now, actually ever since 2020 or 2005, it has been the governor, the state house, and the state senate have been completely Republican. So we've made great gains. We made huge gains in the house in 2018, but we need to pick up 10 more seats in order to control the state house. And so that's kind of what I'm working towards and what the state Democratic Party is working towards. But as far as what the state representatives control, not the congressional ones, the state ones, we like to say that the further down on the ballot it is, the closer to your home it is. So we control things like we vote on and influence things like public schools, your taxes, your sales taxes, your property taxes, your income taxes, your regulations, we even have our own Supreme Court here. Everything that touches your daily life, your roads, your infrastructure, your transportation, that's all us. That is all us.
Just the stuff that matters is what you would be in charge of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
So
when you say control, like, to be clear, it's like your tax dollars, like they do the budget, like the money has to be all, and that's one of the things you're running on, right? Is because like basically there hasn't been much transparency and accountability and how Georgia has been spending its money, right? Is that my understanding?
Yeah. So we have a $14 billion surplus in the bank right now.
Woo, and that's because you're actually growing. Unlike Kansas, we aren't even growing. We have no money here.
Yeah.
But see,
they're not doing anything with it. And so when I was running for school board, I found out that Fulton County schools, we are in the red $95 million. And I think it would make sense for the state to be like, let us help you out with that. The schools are already struggling. Let us help you out with that. Nothing. They're just collecting this money. And at some point this year, the governor did send out like $200 checks to some people. But I was just furious when I realized how much money they're just holding on to and they're not reinvesting in our communities. And so up here in North Fulton, a big issue is property taxes. Our property taxes have risen so exponentially, it is out of control. It's not like seniors are being priced out of their homes. Young families can't afford to move to the places that they grew up in. And that is partly because of the state not reinvesting in our communities. And I think a lot of people don't know that. They like to just say, oh, it's the Democrats that are doing it. It's the Democrats. But I'm like, we haven't done anything. We haven't had control at all in 20 years. So let me kind of explain to you what's happening. And some people are very receptive to it. And I watched your video about how Democrats are more conservative. And I was like, this is so true, because I'm talking to traditional conservatives and we align on almost everything. Almost everything. It's the more MAGA folks that I'm having trouble connecting with, but traditional conservatives, yeah, we believe in the institutions. And so we have a lot to work with there.
Yeah, let's talk more about your oh, hello puppy. What's up? What's up, dog?
Yeah.
So we like tell me about like more about since your district is mostly rural.
Yeah.
What are the unique challenges of that? Like, are you intimidated? Like, are you viewed as like one of the city folk, you know?
Yeah.
Are you having town halls, any events yet where you're interacting regularly with folks, and how's that been going?
So I have been reaching out to anybody and anyone who will talk to me. I don't care what party they're from. So I'll go on Facebook, I'll go on Nextdoor. I go to the city council meetings, which I'm going to right after this, and I'll just talk to people there. I want to show people that I'm showing up and I want to listen. And I think we are desperately missing that, especially with our state representatives. So I'm holding 7 open houses over the next couple of weeks where I've rented out a community center, and we're going to bring stuff for kids, and we're going to have food, and we're going to have resources. And it's just like, come talk. Like, what do you want to talk about? Let's chat. I'm trying to be so available and accessible, and who knows, that might backfire, but I really don't care, because I want to talk to people. I want to hear what their concerns are. But at the doors and stuff like that, you know, canvassing is a big part of it. And I've had a lot of volunteers help me with canvassing, which I feel very grateful for, because there's only so many things a candidate can do. We are stretched thin. But a lot of the things that are brought up, if you're already into politics and into government, you kind of know what a state representative does. This is just what I've experienced. But there are also a lot of people who just want to talk about the culture war stuff. And so I'm having to listen, but also figure out how to pivot and say, here's how I can actually help your life. Here's how I can actually keep more money in your pocket and make sure that our kids' schools are properly funded and stuff like that. So that has been a challenge for me.
Yeah. I know that's a lot of people don't seem to understand that, hey, state government, we don't do that. That's the federal government, stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So I think what I've found with my experience, like with local elections, is the vast majority of people just don't know anything about local races. They see names on a ballot. They don't know who these are. In fact, I hate to say this, but a lot of folks, you know, like, oh, well, I saw those signs, or I got that mailer that say, oh, or they just vote party lines, you know, like even like the gender of the person, like, oh, are they a man or woman? Like that's how bad it is. And so like, I think the main reason why I like wanted to do this stream with you is like to a broader audience, is to show like actually voting in a local election is way more effective than voting in the national election. I'm not saying you shouldn't vote in national elections, but so what's your like elevator pitch to somebody who they don't think that local elections even matter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we touch your everyday life. The further down on the ballot, even so, on the last thing on our ballot is school board. And so they impact your child's education. And so, you know, voting for president is all well and good, but are you going to be able to call the president and ask him a question, or ask him for, you know, where can I go to do this? Even with a senator or a congressperson, it's really hard to get in touch with them. But with your state senators and your state house people, like my constituency is 60,000 people. I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm not going to be super busy doing all these other things. I'm here for you. And so not only do we impact every part of your daily life, but we should be more available. We should be way more available. And that's what I'm trying to do. And also, like, I really, truly believe that we agree on these things. And it's just the drama. People are drawn to the drama. And there are several bad actors currently in our state house right now, and I hope they get voted out. But if they don't, I'm still going to try to work with them, because I know I've seen behind the scenes they are not what they seem to be when they're on the House floor.
60,000 people is way too many in your district, I should say. You should uncap the House in the state of Georgia.
Let's
Yeah.
uncap it
There you
everywhere.
go. Some districts in New Hampshire are as small as 5,000 people. Did you know that?
Do you know, I think I did, but I don't know where I found that out. And I thought, wow, that would be really great. But also, I think like half of my district is children. So there's that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, they don't count. Yeah, they don't have a voice. No, I jest.
I'm here for the kids. Hey, listen, I'm the only mom in this race here. I'm the one sitting in the carpool line. I'm the one who knows how important it is to have well-funded public schools. I think a lot of people don't understand that your home value reflects how good your public schools are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Here, they're really trying to push school choice and school vouchers and stuff. And I'm like, that's not how this works. This is a scam. This is not going to work. It would take me 2 hours to talk about everything about vouchers, which I'd love to do sometime, but we need to invest in our public services. And so my whole thing is lower costs, higher standards. We need to have higher standards for our public officials. Like, they can't hide from things. We need to show their budget. They need to show us their budget and make it easy. We were talking about before this, how, I'm going to the city council meeting. It's a huge thing that's happening tonight. And they just told us 24 hours ago. Or during the summer when they called special session to redraw our maps, and they ended up not doing that. There were a couple other bills that they tried to pass during that time that were not popular bills. And so they called hearings for them at 7:30 a.m. So I was like getting up at 4, driving downtown.
That's so common.
It's all
it happens here in Kansas too. Yeah. And the data centers is a great example. They don't get input from anybody that lives in the area, or if they do, it's like last minute, and then everyone's scrambling to come.
Yeah.
Is that an issue in your district? Data centers, flock cameras, these hot button issues like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Atlanta is the most surveilled city. This is where Flock is. The Flock headquarters. Actually, my stepbrother works for Flock, and we have not spoken since I announced my candidacy. But that's okay. But they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I went out of town for 2 days, and I came back, and there were 2 new ones on my road. And this is not a busy road. Nothing happens on this road, but they are everywhere. And I actually had a Canvas launch recently where my husband, Phil, and his podcast partner, Alex, they came to host it. And we were talking about flock cameras, and we look around and we're like, I don't see any around here. And then we look at Alex, and he's leaning on one, and we didn't even realize it. It was just right there. Weird. It was pointed at a playground. So don't really like that.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex Perlman, by the way. We got to hang out a little bit a few weeks ago, and that guy, he's hilarious. The flock cameras. That's another thing too, though. The flock cameras, the data centers. If you talk about a few national issues that you can have an impact locally, that are also freaking bipartisan, everybody tends to agree. Not everybody, but most people are agreeing on this. I feel like that's a good opportunity to unify people.
Yeah.
And so maybe have you found yourself bringing those things up more?
Yes, I have. And, one thing that was interesting is the labor unions are pushing for the data centers for them because they employ the people. So I'm like, I believe in labor unions. I'm all for that, but I don't really agree with that. I'm not going to push for the data centers. I don't think it's worth it. They're in Milton. There is a moratorium. So like I said, I represent Milton, Alpharetta, and Roswell. So Roswell and Alpharetta already have some, but Milton does not. And they did a 180-day moratorium on any applications even. And so I went to the city council meeting, and the whole city council doesn't like me. They endorsed my opponent, but I'm like, I'm going to show up anyway. I don't care. And I thanked them. I said, thank you so much for doing this. This was before they did the 180-day thing. It was like a 30-day pause, and we were all asking them, please extend it. And I said, thank you so much for doing this. And I really hope you consider extending the moratorium. And they did. However, that happened in Marietta, which is a town maybe 30 minutes away. They had the moratorium. And then last week they were like, psych, we're gonna build one. Bye. And people were furious.
But hold up now. The entire city council is against you, and you're being all friendly with them. Are you trying to build those relationships with your political enemies here? I'm very curious how that's going. How's that going?
So I've met with one person from the city council who is a Democrat, but here's what happened, and it was so bizarre to me. So I talked about qualifying period, and the whole city council endorsed my opponent before qualifying was over. So they endorsed him before they even knew who else was running. And that's really weird to me, but he's a kid and he works for the mayor, and the mayor is the head of the city council. So the fix is in. The fix is in. However, when I win, I'm going to have to work with these people, right? And so I don't want to make enemies out of them, and I want to give credit where it's due. I'm not going to be mean just to be mean, right? Like that's pointless. And so the one person that I did meet with, he was really great and gave me some great insight. But I don't know if I'm going to reach out to the other members. I don't think I'm going to reach out to the mayor. I don't think that would be helpful. But there are a couple that I might reach out to. I'm just not sure yet, but I'm showing up. I'm going to these meetings because that's where I'm meeting my constituents.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I gotta say, I've endorsed approximately 53 people running for Congress across the country, and I have found that the biggest challenge is raising money, because even if we have passionate volunteers that are promoting these candidates, it doesn't matter at the end of the day when you can't afford billboards, signs, mailers, and just paying volunteers, stuff like this. So I guess like the first step, well, yeah, let's go back even further. Let's just go step by step. The first thing you had to do to get on the ballot was petitions, pay a fee. What is it?
Pay a fee, no petitions. And, I have a friend who lives in Colorado, and she was like, you don't have to get petitions. You don't have to write into a newspaper. And I was like, no, you just have to pay. I think it was like $400 maybe.
Okay.
And then you're in the runoff. And fortunately I didn't have, or you're in the primary. I didn't have a primary opponent. So, that was really lovely for me. I did not have to waste my time.
So many districts don't have anybody running. Like a lot. It's insane if you really look. That's why I was looking at Kansas. There was like half of the districts somebody didn't have an opponent. I was like,
it's maddening. It's like you can assume that, okay, this is a red district, it's going to go red, but what if it doesn't? What if the person gets accused of a felony? You have to have somebody there. You've got to have someone there just in case. There are a couple districts around here where I'm like, that the Democrat has no chance, but he's still trying. He's not putting in all of his effort, but he shows up and he's doing the work. And I think he knows it's not going to happen, but I'm so grateful to have him participating. But what we've really made a concerted effort to do in Georgia is to make sure that every single House seat is contested, because all we need is 10 seats. We just need 10. And that is tiny compared to how many we picked up last time. I think we picked up 11 last time. And so we just need 10 more. But yeah, the money part is huge. So actually before I filed, I did this program called Emerge. And it is a women's organization where they basically train women how to run for office. It was wonderful. They have a really long, like 6-month program. I couldn't do that. So I just did a boot camp where it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They teach you everything you need to know about raising money, about financial disclosures, about everything. And it was awesome. So I encourage any woman who wants to run for office. They only help Democratic women. Because at one point I was like, maybe I'll run as an independent. But they were like, no, you can't do that. Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, boot camp. So like Abigail Spamberger, what is an alum? Like they've gotten so many women elected. It like I would not know what to do without them. So that was the first step I took before I registered, because I thought I just need to make sure that I can do this. And I think the boot camp one was like $350, and for the amount of money, or not money, the amount of resources that I got out of that, I was like, this is totally worth it. And then so for this race, they wanted me to do call time. And call time is where you get on the phone and you call people and you ask for money, and it's awful. It sucks. And I wish there were a better way. And Phil was like, stop hating on call time. They're going to get mad at you. And I'm like, well, I got to tell people how important it is. It is important, but I feel really fortunate to be in a place where I was able to fundraise online. So I did, I finally told my team, I was like, this is killing my soul. I can't do this. I cannot spend 10 hours a week on the phone calling strangers and asking for money, especially not in this economic climate. Like it feels icky to me. So I understand I'm very privileged to be in this situation, but I did a couple spots on Phil's show. And then I teamed up with a company called Hovercast to be able to fundraise online through streams. And just a couple weeks ago, we raised 125 grand in 5 days. So
that's awesome.
I still need more. Like that's not.
You need more than that.
Yeah, that's
wow. Okay, that was one of my questions. Is how much do you think you exactly need to be competitive in this race?
I think I need about 300.
Oh my gosh!
Phil and I have.
What the heck, man? $300,000 for this little district in Georgia. Why?
I know. It's disgusting. It really is awful. And like the budget that I have for mailers and TV ads is about that. That is what we're going to have to pay. And I think there should be a cap. I know you love caps on things. There should be a cap on this,
No, cap on campaign finance. I'm perfectly okay with that kind of cap. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hopefully people are, that's their conclusion before we even said that. But yeah, I mean, so with this, hopefully $300,000, where do you get your most bang for your buck? I saw you had a billboard. That was very exciting.
Most people don't do billboards. And I thought, people might recognize my name or my face. So we're going to do a billboard. But one of the main reasons we did it is because in my area, there are a lot of big, nice houses along the main roads. But they're all Republican houses. So they won't take my signs. So I thought, where can I go where I can have a sign that everyone sees and it's there? And also they take my signs. They will take my signs out because they don't like to see them. Can't take a billboard. That cannot fit in your trunk. So yeah.
It's sad that actually happens though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would never do that, but I will go put my sign right next to somebody else's.
And I've heard people say that those signs that you put in your yard are not really that effective. But so what do you think about mailers, though? I found mailers to be particularly effective. Or what else are you doing to get the word out about your campaign?
So mailers, they weren't going to start doing mailers until around mid-September. And I said, I think mine is more of a not name recognition, but just getting on people's radar. I just want people to know that I'm running because I think a lot of Democrats, people in this district don't expect a strong Democrat to run. So I thought, let's just do an intro mailer, talk about who I am, link them to have QR codes and see if they'll get interested. And then next week or in 2 weeks, we're doing one that has the football schedules on it. So it's me holding a football and it has like the Falcons and Georgia Tech and UGA. So the schedules on it. So hopefully they'll keep it. But mailers are they are a 6-figure investment. And I'm glad to see here that someone said mailers are helpful or useful because, it goes either way. There will be some negative ones too. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what is said about me because I am an Oppo researcher's dream. My whole adulthood is on the internet. So I'm like, you are so lucky. You are so lucky.
Yeah, dig through all that.
But so that, and then we're trying to get more digital ad, just when you're swiping and there's an ad, trying to do that. I just need to start. I think I just need to start earlier than most candidates would here. And that's what I'm trying to do. But mailers are the biggest investment. Like the one I just sent out to the whole district, I sent it out to every house was $15,000 just for the mailers. So just so you can I won't give the whole thing away because I don't want to give the strategy away about
right. I understand. Yeah, no, that's fine.
But that was just my first mailer. So, and when the whole thing is over, when win or lose, I'm doing a whole breakdown. What exactly was spent because people need to know. People have got to know when we call and we're like, hey, can you spare a few bucks? It really any amount of money helps. But also it even if you can only donate $5, it shows up on the filings and it shows that somebody is willing to put their money behind you. It doesn't matter how much it is. Just the number of donors helps. So I have 3,000 donors. My opponent has 85. So, I mean, my average donation is $25 and I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And thank you for releasing all this information afterwards because the transparency is a lot of people in power count on not having transparency. They don't want people to challenge their power. I imagine you've already knocked on some doors. If not, like,
Yeah.
how's that been going? And how many more doors are you going to knock on?
Well, I have. So fortunately, the Democratic Party has donated 2 full-time door knockers to me. They are out knocking doors all day, every day during the week, and they're amazing. Mark and Dave, if you're watching, you're the best. Thank you. So they would have more relevant information for you. But when I go to doors, there have been several things. A lot of them, I try to go to the more challenging doors. And so over the weekend, I was.
Wait, you mean the ones with the dogs, like the
Yeah,
pit bulls?
just the
Okay.
dogs, not like
Sorry.
ideological, anything like that. So if I go to a door with Democrats, they're really excited to see me. And then I went to a couple doors where the woman answered the door and she said, I'll give this to my husband. He tells me who to vote for. I'm like, okay. And I'm still trying to work on that. But also that could just be like trying to get me to go away, which I totally understand. So there's that. But like, you could also just tell me to go away. I'll go away. But over the weekend, I was canvassing with Tony Kazicki, who was running against Rich McCormick for Congress. And we just walked up to a random house, like sight unseen. We're just like, let's just do something crazy and walk up to this house. And it was a man in his garage. And we picked the wrong house. Well, the wrong house in that, like, this man's never going to vote for us. But we talked to him for 40 minutes. And it was
Nice.
wonderful. It was a wonderful, like wonderfully illuminating conversation. And his whole thing was he votes based on whoever is pro-life. And so that's what he started with. And that's what a lot of people start with around here is a cultural thing more than a policy thing, which I get because that's what everyone's paying attention to. But we did find some common ground in some places, especially because he has a daughter and a grandson. And I said, I'm really working towards making sure that our public schools are funded well because they're not funded right now. And so he's like, oh yeah. Okay. So it was nice. But I don't know if I'd do a 40-minute conversation again. But it was interesting.
That's cool though. And that's not easy to do. I can't imagine, like,
No.
for most people, they'd be terrified to approach that man,
I'm not saying I wasn't scared. I was terrified, but I was with a tall man. I felt safe in that way. Rhetorically, it was a little, whatever. But it's been a really great experience. I even so my opponent went into a runoff with somebody who was also very pro-life. That was his whole reason for running. But I thought, he's a really smart guy. He works in automation and AI. I would love to talk to him. So I took a chance and I emailed him. And I said, hey, we were about to be opponents, but I would love to meet up with you and talk to you about data centers and AI and automation and stuff like that. And we met up and spoke for 2.5 hours over coffee. And that was another really wonderful way to connect.
Yeah. And I assume that, I know earlier in this conversation, you said, well, I don't really expect to change the minds of most people who voted for Trump, especially the ones who voted for Trump 3 times. However, that just means you kind of have to rely on a little bit of demographic changes, because I know a lot of people are moving to Georgia. It's like one of the quickest growing states in the country for the last 10 years. But also, you got younger people that are voting for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You have independents. You have, well, surprisingly, these people still exist. It's like folks who have never voted their entire adult life. They may be in their 40s or 50s and they're voting for the first time because they're like, oh, wait, I don't really like the fact that all these federal jobs are going away, or the fact that they're shooting citizens in the street. So yeah, like, how do you convince those folks that if that you can change their mind, what's the most effective strategy to get their vote, you think?
I think reaching out to them in the first place. A lot of people just want to be heard in the first place, but also showing that, they've really scared people into thinking Democrats are scary and we're going to raise taxes and we're going to do all of this. But when we really have those conversations, I'm like, I don't want to raise your property taxes. I don't want to raise your taxes. What I want to do is make sure that the money we're already paying, we're paying so much money. I want to make sure that that's coming back home to our communities. And that's where I've really had luck, because it's true. I'm sick of paying all these things and our teachers aren't getting paid well. We have potholes in the road. Like, there's so much traffic. It's like we are paying for things and we are not getting the value out of that. That is where I'm really connecting, because I know it's the whole thing of like socially liberal, fiscally conservative. And I'm like, I'm fiscally conservative too, but I also understand that we have to adjust our expectations in order to make a fair and just society.
So I'm going to open it up to the audience, let you ask questions for Lindsay. But before then, I have one more question here. And obviously, a minority political party in a legislative body has a difficult time passing legislation, which is
Mhm.
the primary job. And so, if the Democratic Party does get a majority in the state legislature, you said
Yeah.
you need 10 seats. Um, what are the biggest priorities for bills you'd like to pass in the state legislature?
So number one is adjusting the QBE, which is basically how we fund our schools. It has not been updated since 1985. And I think a lot of things have changed since 1985. It hasn't been adjusted for the poverty rate. It hasn't been adjusted for how much more we have to pay our teachers, cost of living. It hasn't been adjusted for the fact that they buy a crap ton of technology and computers. So our schools are not funded well. So a lot of my priority things are investing in our public schools. And then it also goes to accountability. Like I filed for I did a FOIA request to see where our kids' data is going when they're using all these software programs at school. And they told me it was going to be $7,000 to get a couple contracts. No, I think that anything that our kids are doing at school, we should be able to see the contracts. There should be a portal. And I guess not just for that, but for anything. For anything, we should be able to see things. We shouldn't have to pay $7,000 for a FOIA request. So really basic transparency and accountability measures that I think, the minimum wage here is $5.15 an hour. And they tried to raise it to 13 last year. And the Senate said no. And so they were like,
Well, the
what
federal
about
minimum wage is 7.25 or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
lower than the federal.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Wow, that's a
so
joke.
one of my favorite senators, Senator Kemp, not Governor Kemp, different guy. He was like, well, what if we just, he was like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's just raise it to 725. Can we just make it the federal? And they said no. So that's what I would like to do. I would really like to mess with that. And also, expanding Medicaid. We're one of 10 states that has not expanded Medicaid, and it's ruining our state. Yeah.
Kansas
Yours
is one of
too?
those. Yeah, ours is one of the 10 as well.
Yeah.
Also, you brought up property taxes a lot. I'm just going to put this little birdie out there, and then you can like go down a rabbit hole one day.
Yeah.
I don't know if Philip's ever looked at this or not before, but I made a whole video about Georgism and the land value tax. And if a land value tax was ever implemented, it would have to be at the state level. So just throwing that out there, if you do get elected, just look up this guy named Henry George, or just look at my Georgism video on Georgism. Anyway, okay, we have questions. Thank you. We have questions from the audience a little bit here, so let's go ahead and get to it. Let's see. I'm going to scroll up a little bit here. Mr. Stuffy says, are you doing short form video and targeting voters through Meta ads, Meta specifically?
Yes. So we just hired a company to do that last week. I did not realize what a nightmare working with Meta is. So I had to hire a company for it. And really running as a candidate is like running a business. You really are running a business, but we are starting. So I didn't realize that there is a timeline for when these things start. And most candidates don't start running ads or doing mailers until about 5 weeks before the election.
Okay.
And I said, no, we need to do it sooner. We're going to do it sooner, especially because I already have experience online. So I really am. The answer is yes. Starting yesterday, probably really trying to get those digital ads going on Meta.
I make a lot of videos about presidents. So just really quickly, who is your favorite president?
Oh, goodness. I will say Obama. I will say Obama.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
But I wasn't really into politics at the time. So what I liked was how he I lived in Atlanta, and I felt I was in downtown Atlanta on the election night, and it was just wonderful. And I probably wouldn't have said Obama. I don't know who I would have said before, but just looking back, I just miss that calmness. I do miss that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially like millennials, have nostalgia for that time when things seem to be less chaotic.
If I knew more about presidents, I would have a different answer. But it's just recent. I'm 37, so.
So if there's just one specific thing that you would do to improve our schools, what would it be?
Okay, so in terms of staffing, it would be paying teachers more. But in terms of actual what's happening here, I do not like how much time our kids spend on computers. Starting in 3rd grade here, every kid, it's a one-to-one device thing. So every kid gets their own computer and they are on computers at least half the day. And I can't stand that. I don't like it. Back when I was a kid, we had a computer lab. That was great. Or we had a rolling cart with computers. I do think that computers are important. And I do think they're important for kids that don't have computers at home. If you don't have a computer at home, I would love if you could have the Chromebook. But they are missing so much interaction with the teacher and with each other by just being on Chromebooks all day. And my son, I didn't even know he was dyslexic because of spell check and because he had just memorized all these things. And I asked his teacher last year because we were playing Wordle together. And I said, hey, have you noticed that he can't spell? And they said, no, because everything's on a computer, and as long as it's legible, they don't mark it off. So I would get rid of the one-to-one device program for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know how you diagnose dyslexia anymore. With all the tools they have, they can hide it really well. So
yeah. So I see someone here said a complete ban on phones in schools would be amazing. So we had that. That went into effect this year.
So did we.
Yeah. So
you're for that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yeah, I guess in terms of distractions and stuff, but I would like to be able to contact my kid in an emergency or have him contact me. But is it worth it? I don't know. I don't feel like I don't feel like in class, no. But I'm not that experienced yet with things to really make a decision on that.
I appreciate the humility there. That's awesome. More of a lighthearted one here. Maybe, hey, you never know. Would you run for governor of Georgia? First gentleman, Philip DeFranco. Do you have higher ambitions? Maybe.
It's interesting. My dad asked that too. But like I said, I really like being in a community where I'm close to the 60,000 people, where I can really make a difference and not have to worry about the drama of everything. Sure, maybe. I've said, I really believe in term limits as well. And the fact that this lady was in here for 24 years is nuts to me. So I've said I'll serve 4 terms in this seat, and then I'll move on. Like, I think I will be past my usefulness at that point. So I don't know. Maybe states, I don't know, but I would never run for president. That is not. I tell people the only thing I'd like to do as president is have my own plane. And I think I can figure that out another way. So.
Yeah, no, I would hate to be president. That would be, it sounds like the worst job ever. This is more of a bigger philosophical question. I like it. When is it appropriate to raise or lower taxes?
This is a great question that I do not have an answer to. It's very broad. That is a very broad question that I feel like I'm going to step in some crap answering that. And I don't think that was intentional. I don't believe that was intentional, but there's so many different, what kind of taxes are you talking about? What do you think?
My answer is always like, if it helps people, then, and it hurts people who are hurting everyone else, then do it. But like I always say, like a carbon tax is like one of the ideal taxes, because like if you are emitting carbon into the air, all the pollution, you are hurting everyone. So then you should be taxed. That's usually how I just.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Okay, go for it.
But I'm not going to get myself in trouble with the other ones, especially when I don't know enough to be able to like make a real strong stance.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here.
Actually, I take that back. Billionaire, yeah. Raise it on the billionaires. Go for it. Please. I'll take it.
I think you're not going to make, almost everybody agrees with you on that.
There's no billionaires in my district. Now, Rick Jackson lives like a little bit north of here. He's running for governor here.
Wait, who's that? Is he like a billionaire?
Yeah, Rick Jackson. He's a billionaire here. He has no governmental experience. He's a healthcare executive, but he is our nominee for governor.
Oh, healthcare executive. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll stop being snarky here. Should we incorporate learning trade skills more into high school so they're less inclined to pay for predatory for-profit trade schools?
1,000%. 1,000%. When I was running for school board, I was looking at ways to partner with Home Depot and places like that to actually come in and teach students these things on site, not having to have them go anywhere else. Like it would be a dream of mine to have the most world-class, all-inclusive schools where we can have all of these types of programs. And I agree. I think that these trade schools, you should be able to go to them for free. And I think we need more people in the trades, period. And some of the college or the high schools here do that. They have like plumbing apprenticeships and stuff like that. So I am all for that. My nephew is doing one. He lives in Alabama though, but he's doing one. He likes working on motorcycles. So he's doing like a mechanics one, and he's ready to go be a mechanic as soon as he graduates. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. The high school I used to teach at had a similar program for mechanics. It was amazing.
Yeah.
We only have like a minute left. So I guess I'll just, we'll just end it with this one. Can you actually win this thing?
Yes, I can. I would not be doing this, investing so much of my own money in this if I didn't think I could. It's just going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult, but I am running against somebody who is already turning off a lot of voters. And I think I am putting myself out there enough to bring in the votes that I need. And the worse Trump does, the better it is for me. And I am doing everything I can. I think that being somebody with an online platform, I have something that a lot of people would pay for, I need to take advantage of that. And I really do think I can win. My win number is 17,000. That's what I need. So I got to flip about 7,000 or hope they don't show up. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Many will not show up this November, especially Trump voters. They will not support. A lot of Trump supporters are really upset now. Like a lot of, which is
and I just want to be like, I'll come over, invite me over. I am like, please talk to me, because I know once we chat, we're gonna agree and you're gonna like me. And I'm not opposed to changing my mind on things. Like if I learn new information or if you convince me of something, I'm like, oh, that's a really good point. I would love to chat more about that. So that's what I'm trying to get out.
Georgism. All right. Yeah, we'll end it there. Lindsay, it's an honor to have you on my live stream. I wish you the best of luck with the rest of your campaign.
Thank you.
Please get some sleep every night. Also, I just want to thank you for, using your influence for good. Like so many influencers are just like, oh, they're worried about, not being too political because they're going to lose audience. Well, screw that. These are not times, like everything is political. Yeah. Like, so it's brave of you to do what you're doing. And I want to thank you for doing something that's not easy.
Thank you so much. It's not easy. And I look forward to after the campaign, pulling the curtain back and showing I even have videos that I wanted to post it, and my team was like, don't post that. And so I have a whole vault of videos that I was like, this is what I wanted to post, and I didn't. So you'll see it all, win or lose.
I'm not a fan of consultants, so maybe sometimes it's good to ignore those consultants too. Yeah.
The one I posted today about property taxes, I ignored them on that. So we're good.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Give and take. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. If you do happen to live in District 47 in Georgia, check out Lindsay DeFranco's website. The description has her links. So, and thanks again, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.